We all set up? Cool. Following the High Court's ruling received on Friday last week, the Green Party have now rescheduled our special general meeting for the evening of Thursday, the 17th of October. This special general meeting will discuss the potential use of provisions in the Electoral Act, informally known as the party hopping law, in the case of Darleen Tana. This afternoon, the party has sent notice to our branches across the country to allow planning for meetings to discuss the issue and to finalise delegates. Any use of this legislation will require consensus at that meeting, or at least 75% of support from those delegates. We will honour our grassroots members' decisions at that SGM.
So, any concerns that Darleen Tana may appeal?
Look, what I am concerned about is us doing absolutely everything that we can with our values at the forefront of mind. And I can tell you, as a matter of fact, and as was confirmed in that judgment on Friday last week, that we have continued to act in such a way and legally. Jason?
Essentially implying you've seen that judgment, it was so fulsome that she just has no avenue to appeal, or if she did, you're so confident in the fact that it would fail that you're just not even giving it the time of day to think about it.
We're confident about moving forward and replanning that SGM, yes.
Confident that she's not going to appeal, or confident that an appeal would fail?
Look, if I could tell you what Darleen Tana was doing, then we wouldn't have had to spend the last few months operating in the way that we have been.
Aside from Darleen Tana's actions, are you confident that you will be able to meet the thresholds of the law to prove that there is a disproportionality in Parliament by your state?
Yes, we are.
How will you be able to do it when she hasn't indicated that she's going to vote in the Green Party?
Darleen Tana has resigned as a member of the Green Party.
And do you think that...
But if she's planning to vote the same way as the Green Party, is there a disproportionality?
There are multiple instances in which Darleen Tana has not been present in the House or had anybody to deliver her proxy votes on legislation in the House, which has meant that we have been votes down on law.
Have you refused to deliver her a proxy vote, or has she not asked you?
Okay, I'm not even sure if that conversation has occurred.
To my knowledge, she has mostly approached Te Pāti Māori and the ACT Party for the proxy votes.
How did you come to the 17th? Couldn't you have done it earlier?
Look, you'll be aware that at the point in time that we worked through the process around the interim injunction and the injunction itself, that our party was still in the process of selecting delegates and having many discussions. So we wanted to do this again with the requisite time for people to be able to discuss everything, especially what has occurred in the last month or so, and to choose those delegates.
Was there any sort of contemplation about sort of getting it done earlier?
There were a lot of considerations in terms of time and when things worked in Konihira members' schedules and otherwise, but this was the best date that we could land on.
Was there any contemplation about just not doing it and just moving on?
No.
Should we don't have the delegates assembled together for a month?
Yeah, the branches all across the country were in the process of selecting their delegates, and not all had been finalised at the point in time that we went through that process of that interim injunction. Sure, they could, Jenna, but again, this is the date that we have landed on with all of those variables being considered, including the ability for our party to thoroughly discuss this. Again, as you will all be aware of, this is legislation that we have a history with as well, and we want to make sure that there is a proper, informed, participatory and deliberatory process for our party to consider its potential use.
Given the fact that she's taking the party to court, do you envisage any problems achieving that 75% threshold?
Look, I don't want to get ahead of myself. What I can tell you is that I really do trust in our party and our grassroots membership. And as I've said many times before, democracy isn't always a straightforward thing. That is why, Green Party meetings can take time, but we really do respect and value the fact that we are able to properly and thoroughly consider things.
To put it another way, do you expect Darleen Tana to be a member of Parliament by Christmas?
What I can tell you is that I have faith and trust in our party to make the right decision, and what I can tell you is that our caucus did not take this position lightly in putting this recommendation to our party SGM.
Post that meeting, should the party agree to invoke the walk-up legislation that evening, would you write to the Speaker?
We would then be free to write to the Speaker on that basis, noting that I have always said consistently, as has the Honourable Marama Davidson, that we would only take such steps with the endorsement from our party at that SGM. We would then be in a position to write to the Speaker, so whether it's that night or the next day, and thereafter, as I understand it, under the legislation, it's actually entirely within the Speaker's discretion as to how long he takes to consider that.
Can we get a more fulsome response to the judgment that was released on Friday? You released a short statement, but can you just explain your initial reaction to that judgment, what it means for you as co-leader and as the Green Party?
We feel really confident about the steps that we have consistently taken to prioritise our values and to step within our constitution and the legality prescribed therein. So we feel really confident about the steps that we are taking now and rescheduling that SGM.
Do you have any view on the fact that she's using taxpayer money to fund her defence and if she should be doing that?
I think that is a question that you should absolutely put directly to Darleen Tana, who I believe should be accountable for questions such as that.
What she's not talking to us?
Well, I think that therein lies the problem, right? We also have been looking for accountability and responsibility, and as we've said from the outset of this entire situation, the best way for there to be a minimisation of harm and any further collateral damage is for Darleen Tana to take that accountability and to take that responsibility and to resign as a Member of Parliament.
Do you have any idea what she's actually
Jason.
doing? Do you have any idea what she's doing right now? She gave a literally 5-second speech in the estimates debate. What's her job?
Look, she's not a member of the Green Party anymore. She's not a member of our caucus, and we have consistently said that we do not believe on the facts that have been put to us in this independent expert investigation, which she agreed to, as was affirmed in the court judgment on Friday. She is not fit to be a Member of Parliament. Jenna?
Is it your understanding that she is using taxpayer money to fund her defence?
I have no idea.
How tired are you of talking about Darleen Tana?
Look, I would really like to be putting focus squarely on the issues that matter to New Zealanders, but I want to be really clear that our caucus has continued to punch well above our weight when it comes to holding this government to account on their relentless assault on people and planet.
It's still an option for her to just leave Parliament, of her own volition.
Absolutely. Darleen Tana could resign today or tomorrow.
So it's just members, that's the final hurdle to get across before you can boot her.
Yeah, if Darleen Tana will not take that accountability or responsibility and resign as a Member of Parliament, then we continue to step through this process.
What's your last contact with her?
Great.
She just wants to make peace with the Green Party and notes that her Waiwo has been affected in this process. What do you have to say to that?
I'd say that as far as Wairua being affected, that's absolutely something that I'd say is the same for myself and all members of our caucus. And the best way to actually ensure that we have some form of getting towards what even in restorative justice would be making amends requires people to take accountability and to take responsibility.
Well, she's also raised concerns of this space being culturally unsafe for Māori and Pacifica. Is there anything being done to address those, I'd say, recurring themes coming from Pacific and Māori women from the party to make it a culturally safe place?
Yeah, look, I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm answering this question as our Pākehā co-leader in absence of having alongside me the Honourable Marama Davidson. So to that effect, I'm happy to answer and as who I am and the steps that we have been undertaking. We do not take the allegations, the likes of which have surfaced in the last few months, lightly. Those obviously come from a place of upset and from people's personal experiences and also from grief, notably too. So we take time to sit with those things and to kōrero and to work through what people want to see and how we best progress as a party. But that's always going to be a process, it's always going to be a journey, and we'll continue to hold ourselves accountable to improving.
What's the latest
Annika?
What's the latest contact you've had with Darleen Tana?
The latest that I have had personally would have been her response to our letter issuing that notice of potential use of the electoral integrity legislation.
Have either of you had contact with her since then? So it's just complete silence from her?
Not even an awkward corridor walk past each other or something?
Not even, Jason.
Sorry, just going back to the timeline, should the Speaker agree to invoke the precision she's out of Parliament, you would have, the next day you would have your new MP in Parliament. Is that still the same on the list?
That would be the same on the list, yes. Yeah.
Can we just ask you, do you feel like a centric process has been
Well, I think it's important to note that tikanga can't be a haven for wrongdoing, and the report clearly showed that. I think tikanga is about sort of accepting responsibility, not avoiding responsibility. And of course, all political parties have got work to do to make sure that we're as culturally competent as possible, and we've still got that ongoing work to do as well. But no, I don't agree with that premise.
Is that sort of your view that that's what's happened here, is that Darleen Tana has done something wrong and she is sort of hiding behind tikanga and claiming that the party is mistreating Māori women as a way to absolve herself?
Well, I think it's important for her to be actually absolutely clear about what she's done and to take some accountability and to take some responsibility. And tikanga should not be used for that.
What has she done? In your view, what has she done?
Tina.
In your view, what has she done?
Well, the report was very, very fulsome, and it was fulsome around our concerns around migrant exploitation, about workers' exploitation, and we're all about upholding workers' rights.
But the report wasn't into whether or not migrant exploitation occurred. It was about what Darleen Tana told co-leaders, correct?
Yeah, the report was not there to duplicate the work of the ERA or otherwise, but what the report did show very clearly is there were instances which Darleen Tana did not and was not transparent, upfront or truthful with co-leaders or with the broader caucus.
You use the pronouns she and in some of your press releases. Are we not? She said that she's they, them. I think this might have changed. She's changed it. What do you make of the... Oh, actually, I don't care.
Can I ask just about the timing? The previous special general meeting, I think that was scheduled for like hours worth of. This one's only from
6:30. Yeah.
It's going to be shorter.
Look, the Green Party loves a yarn. So as to how much time our members take to consider things, obviously that's also part and parcel of the rationale to have this kind of few weeks long period for people to deliberate and to get themselves familiar with all of the materials, especially what's transpired in the past month or so. But yeah, I mean, I think that you can assume that most people of the 200 odd delegates who will be online, that they will be hoping to get in bed in decent time.
Have you got a sense
Gina.
of it already?
Sorry?
Have you got a sense of it already? Do you think you've got it in the bag?
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but I think that it's pretty clear as a party that really does take its time to fulsomely consider who, for example, and how we put people on our list, and the position that our caucus has come to even get to the point of recommending this motion to the SGM. It's clear how our values fall out in this issue, and I think that our membership and the wisdom of that grassroots consideration will be clear at the end of the day.
Just on that, how much further thought have you put towards the candidate selection procedures and how to make sure that this doesn't happen?
Yeah. As we've said in a number of other answers over the last few months, this is a live issue that's currently kind of being worked through in the party, and it is something which I myself and I know others have fed into in terms of tightening up those processes and procedures. But I just want to be really clear here that we did have a catch-all which required every candidate to declare anything that they think could potentially bring the party into disrepute. And in that instance, these issues were not declared.
Since
Party members.
Since you know of since then, have any other people left the party and told the party it was because of the way it's treated Māori, Pacifica and women?
Not that I know of, but I think just on the broader point around what occurred there, it might be useful for Tana Tuiono, who not only is the chair of Te Mata Waka, but is heavily involved in our Pacifica Greens too, to elucidate on kind of some of the conversations that have been occurring around that.
Yeah, well, we've reset the Pacifica Greens. We had a really great whānau up in Mangere. People are still really committed to making sure that we focus on all the issues that are really, really important for Pacifica communities, particularly in South Auckland. So, yeah, after that lot left, we just sort of reset ourselves and energised.
So that you know of, there's no one else?
No, I don't know of anyone else.
Chloe, both Dr. Elizabeth Kinekere and Darleen Tana agree that there's an epic failure of leadership within the Greens and saying that you are the leader that they will follow. What's the response to that?
They're not following.
Just in terms of the concerns raised by Darleen Tana, the hurt that she's experienced, did you want to speak to the hurt that the Green Party has experienced, particularly given one of your co-leaders is off on sick leave?
Yeah. I think what I can say is that this caucus has been forged in fire. I feel like I've said that a lot of times over the last few months. And I am really, really proud when I look around our caucus table at a group of MPs who are so deeply committed to everything that we commit ourselves to come here to do. The work that looks like holding this government to account, but also building capacity within our grassroots communities to organise, to bring about the transformational change that all of us believe in. And I guess directly to your question, of course it's been gnarly. but we've all looked after each other throughout that process, and that's what I mean when I say forged in fire.
Is it been hard for you as a single co-leader and one that is only just recently taken on the role as well?
I don't know anything else, mate. It seems similar to when people ask me what it's like being a young gun in Parliament. I don't know what the experience of Winston Peters or others is. I only know mine.
Would you like to know the experience of Winston Peters?
I think that he'd offer it to us, yeah.
Well, often when Labour's a little bit unpopular, the Greens go up quite a lot. Do you think if some of these problems, particularly this one, had been avoided, the Green Party might be polling 50%?
I think all of us could be reading the tea leaves when it comes to polling or otherwise, and I think, look, we're just dealing with the issue as is in front of us, and we've continued to prioritise our values and step as best as we possibly can. We're human beings. Yeah.
Back to those comments from Elizabeth and Tana. How do you characterise that? That's an attack on you personally, your leadership. Does it make you question yourself?
It's not the first time that I've encountered attacks on myself as a member of Parliament or a politician or as a co-leader, and I'm sure they won't be the last. I do take critiques seriously when I hear them from people, and I take time to sit with them and reflect on my character. Look, what I can say after 7 years in this place, and this is now my third term, is that absolutely everything that you do will entail people having opinions on those things. And the best that you can possibly hope for is to prioritise your values and hope that in the fullness of time, people get a sense of and an understanding of who you are. And I feel like I can rest my head on my pillow at night knowing that I've done everything that I can with integrity. Cool. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.